Hello, sports history fans. I'm Harv Aronson from the Total Sports Recall podcast. You're about to jump into another thrilling sports history moment, but first let's dive into today's sponsor just in time for the holiday season. Introducing Art of Words, the brainchild of word artist Dan Duffy from Philadelphia. Dan meticulously crafts stunning images by handwriting relevant words from some of the greatest sports moments in time. These unique, budget-friendly illustrations are the perfect gift, sparking cherished memories and capturing hearts. Choose from city skylines, sports, history, and musicians to find a piece for everyone. And here's the exciting part. For that sports fanatic in your life, gift them a piece of their favorite team or player's history. Art of Words tells a compelling story. Explore collegiate stadiums, each meticulously crafted with every football victory etched in words. Or venture into baseball stadiums, handwritten with every player from the team's illustrious history. Don't wait. Order a print today for yourself and your loved ones this holiday season. Transform your wall into a gallery of captivating art and surprise your family and friends with a print of their own. Use code SHN15 at artofwords.com for a 15% discount on your order in November and December. Visit Art of Words, where words magically transform into stunning art, evoking cherished memories and touching the hearts of those you care about. Again, use the code SHN15 for a 15% off at artofwords.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday's Sports on the Sports History Network. Today we're going to have part 2 of the 1986 Mets, and we're going to talk about the World Series that the Mets played that year against the Boston Red Sox. Turned out to be one of the classic World Series in Major League Baseball history. So we'll just go through each game, give a brief overview of each game. And as often happens in the World Series, it comes down to pitching. And Game 1 was a perfect example of that. Boston's Bruce Hurst pitched 8 innings and held the Mets to 4 hits and 0 runs. Ron Darling of the Mets was just as effective as Hurst, allowing only 1 unearned run. The final was Boston 1 and New York 0. Game 2 was a matchup of possibly the 2 best pitchers in baseball that year. The Red Sox starter was 1986 American League MVP and Cy Young Award winner Roger Clemens. The Mets starter was 1985 National League Cy Young Award winner Dwight Gooden. To everyone's surprise, both pitchers struggled in this game, and neither went beyond the 5th inning. Dave Henderson and Dwight Evans both homered off Gooden, giving the Red Sox a 6-2 lead in the top of the 5th inning. The Mets' relief pitching didn't fare much better, giving up another 3 runs. Boston won easily, 9-3. With Boston leading the series 2-0, and the next 3 games played at Fenway Park, Mets fans had reason to worry. Game 3 was a must-win for the Mets, and they came through with their pitching and their hitting. Lenny Dykstra got New York off to a great start with a solo home run, and the Mets added 3 more runs to take an early 4-0 lead. Boston could only get 1 run off Mets starter Bob Ojeda. In the 7th and 8th innings, New York added 3 more runs for an easy 7-1 victory. In Game 4, the Red Sox were once again shut down by pitcher Ron Darling, who allowed 0 runs. The Sox did manage 2 runs off of reliever Roger McDowell in the 8th inning, but it wasn't enough. Lenny Dykstra hit a 2-run home run, while Gary Carter hit 2 runs to give the Mets a 6-2 victory. With Dwight Gooden slated as the starter for Game 5, the Mets felt their chances of winning were good, but the Red Sox thought differently. Boston took a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the 5th, knocking Gooden out of the game. The Sox added another run and led 4-0 after 7 full innings. Pitcher Bruce Hurst pitched a complete game for Boston, allowing only 2 runs. Boston won 4-2. The two teams got a day off to return to New York for Game 6 at Shea Stadium. Roger Clemens got the start for Boston, while Bob Ojeda would go for the Mets. Ojeda pitched 6 complete innings, allowing 2 runs. The Red Sox took a 3-2 lead in the top of the 7th. Roger Clemens was on deck in the top of the 8th inning, but manager John McNamara elected to go with a pinch hitter, who ultimately struck out. It was a questionable decision, considering Clemens was pitching well and had allowed only 1 unearned run. With Clemens on the bench, the Mets tied the score 3-3 in the bottom of the 8th. With neither team scoring in the 9th, the game went into extra innings. In the top of the 10th inning, center fielder Dave Henderson gave Boston the lead with a solo home run. The Red Sox added another run to increase their lead to 5-3. The Mets were down to 3 outs, and after the first 2 batters flew out, things looked bleak. But Gary Carter and Kevin Mitchell singled to keep their hopes alive. The next batter was Ray Knight, who was behind on the count, 0-2, before singling to left center. Carter scored, and Mitchell reached third base. With Mookie Wilson now at bat, pitcher Bob Stanley threw a wild pitch, allowing Mitchell to score. Next came the infamous Bill Buckner play. Wilson hit a grounder to first base that went through the legs of Buckner. Knight scored from second, and the Mets pulled off an improbable win. In the author's opinion, it seems unfair that everyone remembers the Bill Buckner era, but few seem to remember the wild pitch that tied the game. The next day, a heavy rainstorm put Game 7 on hold until the following day. The Mets starting pitcher would be Ron Darling, who had not given up an earned run in the other 2 games he pitched. Bruce Hurst would get the start for the Red Sox. Things did not start well for the Mets, as Dwight Evans and Rich Gedman hit back-to-back home runs in the top of the 2nd inning. Wade Boggs drove in another run, and it was 3-0. In the top of the 4th inning, Mets manager Davey Johnson took the struggling Ron Darling out and replaced him with Sid Fernandez. Meanwhile, the Mets managed only 1 hit against Hurst, but finally got to him in the bottom of the 6th, scoring 3 runs. Roger McDowell entered the game to relieve Sid Fernandez, and the Red Sox went down in order. Ray Knight hit a solo home run in the bottom of the 7th, and the Mets added 2 more runs to take a 6-3 lead. But Boston wasn't done yet, scoring 2 runs in the top of the 8th to cut the Mets' lead to just 1 run. Jesse Orosco came in to relieve McDowell and stopped the Red Sox rally. Darryl Strawberry homered in the bottom of the 8th, and Orosco drove in Ray Knight from second base to make the score 8-5. Orosco then retired the Red Sox in order, and the Mets were World Series champions for the second time in their 25-year history. ESPN voted this World Series as the fourth best in Major League Baseball history, and I don't think too many people would disagree. Okay, that will conclude our podcast for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and God bless.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by to listen to another episode here on the Sports History Network. Our podcasters are passionate about uncovering and sharing sports stories from yesteryear. And if you didn't know it already, we have over 30 shows across the network covering all sorts of sports history topics. In fact, here's a glimpse into one of our awesome podcasts here on the network.
Hello, football friends. This is Darren Hayes of the Pigskin Dispatch podcast, and I'd like to invite you to the portal of positive football history, Pigskin Dispatch and pigskindispatch.com. We talk about everything that centers around the game of American football, expert discussions, the origins of the games, the great players, teams, and coaches, and more, and some great guests and insights from experts. We have new episodes 3 to 4 times a week, and you can find us on sportshistorynetwork.com, pigskindispatch.com, or your favorite podcast provider.
How about that? I bet you're super hyped to go listen to that new podcast, right? Well, to learn about this show and all the other podcasts on the network, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com/podcasts. Again, that's sportshistorynetwork.com/podcasts. Head over there today to find your next favorite sports history podcast.